So, we're just going to start off with this first shelf. So, I kind of organize my films alphabetically for the most part. Sometimes I put a series together, even if they're like, the titles and fully adjust. But also, I start off my collection with just other collections. So, I know the first letter of the alphabet is obviously an F, but I think this awesome Five Nights at Freddy, I think this awesome Friday the 13th collection that I got from Best Buy a long time ago, just because I saw it on sale. And I think I just got like a tax return at the time, and I was just like, I want it. I really, really want it. It's really nice looking. So yeah, it comes with every single film all the way through the Friday the 13th remake. What's also really cool about it is each disc has reversible covers. So if I open this up, it also has the original cover as well. So I think that's pretty cool. I don't have any other collections that really do that. But I think it's really cool that this one has all this. I think Scream Factory tends to do stuff like that. Hope I'm putting these all back in the right order. I am not the biggest Friday the 13th fan, if I'm being completely honest. It's just a really cool collection. And I do like enough of them that I was like, this is this is something cool to own. I love all the artwork on the outside too. Scream Factory gets all their own artwork for all their films, which I think is a really, really cool thing that more boutique labels do. You're going to see a lot of stuff like Arrow, Criterion Collection. I have a lot of stuff like that. I get my films from all over the place, honestly. A lot of the stuff you're going to see is literally just stuff I picked up at like Dollar General if I see something nice and I was like, oh, I've never seen that before. And then I think the last thing in here is just bonus features. Yeah, all these discs also come with bonus features. You can probably spend more time watching the bonus features on these than you would actually watching the movies. Next up is another Scream Factory collection. This is my Fly collection. I got this from Walmart a long time ago. This comes with all of the Fly movies. I'm going to be completely honest. The only Fly movie I've actually watched out of these is the Jeff Goldblum one, which I've seen quite a few times. But I do want to watch the second one because I don't think that he's in it. Who is in this one? Literally no one I've ever heard of before is in this movie. So that's fun. I hope that's good. But then also, these are the three really old ones. We got the original The Fly, we got The Return of the Fly, and The Curse of the Fly. I doubt these are going to be good, which is kind of why I've kind of put them off for so long. But anything can be good. You never know. I'm excited to watch them one day. Maybe soon. But yeah, that's all the artwork on it. Let's get to the next one. Next up is possibly my favorite Scream Factory collection I own, Wreck. This is a 4-movie series. It's all Spanish horror films. There is an English remake called Quarantine of the first one. I believe it is shot for shot. I've never watched it. I don't really plan to. But Wreck, this first movie, bone chilling. It basically is a apartment complex where there's some sort of quarantine going on and no one's allowed to go in or out. But a news reporter is like, I gotta get in there. She goes in and horrors await. The fun thing about these too, I had never seen all these until I actually bought the collection. Wreck 2 picks up immediately after the end of the first one, and it's almost more like a more action tone. Think almost Alien into Aliens. Wreck 3, oh my god, these boxes are really hard to get out. Wreck 3 is the only one in the series that is a completely different story. This one takes place at a wedding where a zombie outbreak takes place. This one is also, it is half found footage and then half just shot like a normal film, which is kind of jarring watching it for the first time, but I do like it. I definitely like it more than Wreck 4 Apocalypse. This movie's bad. This movie's really bad. It was not a fun watch for me, and it really ruined the end of the series. But it is this franchise that I would love to see come back one day. I think that'd be really cool. This is not Scream Factory. This is just my Paranormal Activity collection. Ooh. On the back, it's got the little demon symbol from all these movies. I watched all of these for the first time last year. I got Paramount Plus, and I literally binged through Paranormal Activity and the Mission Impossible franchise. And then I got rid of Paramount Plus because I was like, I don't know if I need anything else on here. But these movies are so good. No, this is a Christmas gift from my mom last year. Shout out to my mom. What is this?
He doesn't even know his own collection.
What is this? This comes with a sticker? Okay.
He doesn't even know his own collection.
I just found live on the air. I just found out this has a sticker. That is pretty cool.
Well, you gotta show us now.
I don't want to take it off. I think it's
Oh, is it one of those like interior window stickers?
I'm trying to read it backwards here. Oh, this house is monitored. Oh, it says this house is monitored by Paranormal Activity. I was trying to read it backwards. That's kind of cool.
I see.
That's kind of cool. I might put that up somewhere. I don't know where I put that up, but that's pretty cool. But yeah, it comes with all of them. It has Paranormal... I'm not even going to take them out. The discs are literally just the basic film covers. But yeah, it has Paranormal Activity, Paranormal Activity 2, 3, 4, Paranormal Activity, the marked ones. That's my personal favorite. Pretty much the entire Paranormal Activity franchise is just rich white people in California being haunted by ghosts. The marked ones is a poor family. They're a Spanish family. And it also introduces time travel into the franchise, which is extremely exciting for a horror franchise. Then we got the Ghost Dimension, easily the worst in the series by far. I think the worst CG you've ever seen in a horror film times a million. And finally, the last one, this is the only way you can actually watch this unless you get Paramount Plus, is Paranormal Activity Next of Kin. It's the only one in the franchise that is not connected to any of the others. It's pretty much a film director, and she goes to this Amish village, so it's more shot high quality, and it doesn't always add up for me, but the stuff at the end, like, I feel like it ends stronger than all the other films of the franchise. Alright, so next up on the docket here, we've got my first director's collection. This is the Quentin Tarantino collection. It doesn't have every one of his films, because obviously he's still making films. Who knows if we're ever going to get another one. But for now, this has everything through Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Kill Bill Volume 2. It used to only include his Death Proof movie, but I added in a double feature version of Grindhouse, and I sold my Death Proof copy, because this one, I have Planet Terror that Robert Rodriguez made as well. And I just kind of added that right into here. It also has Inglourious Basterds and Django Unchained. This is a pretty cool Quentin Tarantino collection. They're just basic Blu-rays. I don't know if I have any of his movies on 4K, actually. But for now, I mean, this is good enough for me. I mean, honestly, Pulp Fiction, I would love to go back and watch Pulp Fiction, just like a VHS copy, honestly. But, that's just kind of how Tarantino does it. But you're going to see the rest of his films, too. I believe I own every single thing that he's made. It is just, they're not all in the set. My other director's collection, which is also not all of their movies, but it's most, my Nolan collection. I got this a while ago. I think this is like one of the first things I ever bought on Amazon, because I was just like, oh, I love Christopher Nolan, like any other 15-year-old kid at the time. But yeah, it just has the Dark Knight trilogy, it has Inception, Memento, and honestly, one of Nolan's most underrated movies, Insomnia. This movie, you've got Robin Williams playing a serial killer, and Robert De Niro playing a FBI agent or detective or something, and he is on the hunt for this guy. But he has insomnia. And so he's not sleeping, he's going crazy. Robin Williams making him go crazy. It's a really small, quiet town. It's really eerie. It really builds suspense better than I feel like Nolan's been doing in some of his more recent movies. But honestly, one of my favorite things, I would love if Nolan goes back to doing something a bit more low-key, but at the same time, we all know that his next movie is going to be a 4-hour-long Odyssey epic. So I'm excited for that, but I would love him to just do like a rom-com. I feel like that'd be really fun. We're going to keep going here with some other director collections. This is my Alfred Hitchcock collection. I believe they've made 3 volumes of these now, because shocker, Alfred Hitchcock has a lot of movies. So yeah, this is an Alfred Hitchcock collection. It's a nice little folds out here. We've just got a picture of him sitting there looking like an asshole. Comes with Rear Window, Vertigo, Psycho, a classic, and The Birds. That's what this collection has. I believe his other ones you can get stuff that'll have stuff like Rope and like what's that one, North by Northwest and stuff. It's got the other collections have those. But for me, I don't know if I really need all of those, but honestly, these are easily my 4 favorite Hitchcock movies, so I was really happy to be able to get this. It's also 4K and Blu-ray, so it has all the copies and everything. It's got bonus features, and yeah, I mean, Alfred Hitchcock, he was a legend for a reason. Next up is a Christmas gift I got a few years back from my uncle because I happened to mention that I love the movie Duck Soup. He got me the Marx Brothers collection. It's got 5 of their movies. It's got the Cocoa Knots, Animal Crackers, Monkey Business, Horse Feathers, and Duck Soup. Yeah, these guys are crazy. They were like, this is like Buster Keaton era. They did so much good like slapsticks and really cool like almost like visual effects that are just like just all practical obviously back then. And all their effects, like you would have stuff like a really cool like mirror shots that still to this day I'm like, I'm really interested in like how they did stuff like that. And they're all just like silly guys just like goofing off together. But that was the golden age of cinema. Next up, continuing on with some director collections. This is just a simple Frank Darabont collection. Guy made The Green Mile, The Majestic, Shawshank Redemption. These are all they're kind of like, I mean, The Majestic is that like, I don't know, feel good kind of movie. It makes you cry. Then at the end you go, "Aw, Jim Carrey." But the other two, I mean, Green Mile and Shawshank Redemption. I mean, you can't go wrong there. I especially love Shawshank Redemption. I mean, who doesn't? It's been like the #1 film on IMDb for years now. But yeah, and this also has a cool little thing with all the posters in the back. I think I got this at a Big Lots. It was like at Big Lots for like $10. So that's pretty cool.
He's a liar, chat. I was with him. We got it at Tops Friendly Markets.
We got it at Tops
Same
Friendly
place
Markets.
that I got mine.
Never mind. Tops Friendly Markets.
Because I have no director collections except for that one, I think.
Next up, Bloomcamp 3. I don't know why. I love the packaging on this one. I just think it's like that's just a cool thing to do, like the little cube symbol with it. But yeah, this has his 3 main films. We've got, I don't know why it starts off with Chappie, because that is not his first film. His first one was District 9. Yeah, we've got Chappie. It's got, also has, I love when they do this, like a digibook. It's got pictures. It's got like old like biographies of some of the characters in the movie. Goes straight into District 9, where you got like behind the scenes photos and stuff. I'm still waiting for District 10. I don't know why they have not moved forward with that. But yeah, it has Chappie, District 9, and Elysium. 3 really good movies, honestly. Bloomcamp, man hasn't done a bad movie in my opinion. I want to see him do more. There was rumors for a while that he was into a Halo movie, and instead we got the Halo series. Oh well.
Why did you have to bring it up?
We're on to my first Criterion in this collection. This is called the Coker Trilogy. This, I'm going to be honest, I got these on sale somewhere, and it is just gorgeous packaging. Really, really pretty. It has booklets for the films. What are the films called in this? I'm going to be honest, I have not seen any of these yet. Also, sometimes Criterion makes their collections too difficult. What is it? What's going on here? This thing is like snapped in half. But yeah, this is 3 movies. I believe it's all about the same kid growing up in Afghanistan, and you just kind of follow him in different eras of his life. The first film is called Where is the Friend's House? And then you move on to And Life Goes On and Through the Olive Trees. Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I have not seen these yet. I got them on sale a while ago. And yeah, I feel like I'm just waiting for like a rainy day, sit inside, watch through the whole trilogy. And I think it's just that kind of vibe for these kind of movies. Well, now here's a trilogy I have seen many times. The Lord of the Rings. Can't go wrong. You gotta have them. Gotta have them in the collection. Of course, it's the beautiful extended editions. I mean, these are thick. This has, how many discs are just in Fellowship of the Ring?
At least 3, surely.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
5 discs just for Fellowship. If you want to learn how to make movies, or just what's it like working on a film set, literally just watch all the behind the scenes on Lord of the Rings. They documented every single detail of those. It is so much fun to just go back, watch through all the commentary, all the little fun facts nowadays. Anyone's just like, oh, did you know that Aragorn actually broke his foot when he kicked that helmet? It's like, everyone knows that now. And we know it because of all these bonus features. That's why physical media is so important.
I know it because of Reddit. But...
or Reddit. Very much not a trilogy. This is the James Bond collection. It's the Blu-ray version. I got this from our local film store. It's called the Soundgarden. Shout out to the Soundgarden. But yeah, James Bond collection. This has everything except for No Time to Die. I do own No Time to Die. You'll see it later on in the series. But yeah, this has it split up for 1962 through has it split up through 1962 through 77. Then it has it 1979 to 2002, 2006 to 2015. Yeah, it is just, that's what it is. It's all the Bond movies. You know, you can't go wrong with them. There are so many. Also, the packaging on the back is kind of cool. I don't know if we can focus in on that. Just got all the different titles, just kind of all spread out throughout. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, James Bond is great. You know, classic. There's a reason why he's lived through so many different iterations of the character, and there's a reason why Amazon probably just spent $8 billion to acquire the full rights. We got another Criterion collection. This is my Bruce Lee collection. I would have put this next to the director's one, but he didn't direct these movies. He's the actor in all of them. But it's a very cool collection here. We've got, is there a booklet? There is a booklet. Oh, it's a poster. But yeah, this is, it's just really cool packaging, honestly, all around. Love these. Just can't go wrong with them. Oh, no. We've got The Big Boss, Fist of Fury, The Way of the Dragon, and Game of Death. And then I believe it also has an entire disc or two that is literally just bonus features. Next up, an unofficial trilogy, we'll call it. Ted versus Flash Gordon. It's Flash Gordon, Ted, and Ted 2. That's what it is. I like the artwork. I do like that they did some original artwork for the cover. I'm going to be honest, I watched Flash Gordon for the first time this week. Thought it was alright. I thought it was a little slow at times, but I do like the campy aspect of it. But I'm going to be honest, I think Ted and Ted 2, pretty good comedies overall. I mean, I grew up on, especially Ted 2 for some reason. I don't know why I saw Ted 2 5 times, but for some reason I have.
They just played it more.
Honestly, yeah, it was just always on FX. It's just always Ted 2, but censored. We've got another trilogy here. This is, I think this is my first Steelbook trilogy in this collection here. The Kingsman trilogy. This has, I like the packaging on these a lot, honestly. It's got Secret Service, Golden Circle, and The Kingsman, which for some reason nobody in the world saw, and now we don't get any more Kingsman movies. Instead, we get Argyle. So you will not see Argyle in this collection. Spoiler alert, because Argyle is the worst. But the Kingsman trilogy, great movies. I really like Matthew Vaughn a lot. I really hope he kind of returns to something like this, especially that first one. Watching that first one the first time, it felt like I was watching something new. It felt like I've seen James Bond, I've seen all these other spy movies, but this is a really new original idea, which I really dug. It's kind of like watching Knives Out for the first time. Really different take on a genre that we're all very accustomed to. We're still going with trilogies here. This is a cool steelbook for the Rob Zombie trilogy. This is actually a slipcover steelbook, so we can take that right off there. You can kind of turn that up and down. Yeah, this has, it's got all three of them. It's got House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects, and what's the last one called? Three from Hell. Three from Hell. That's a weird title, honestly. But yeah, I really House of a Thousand Corpses I think is pretty fun. I really like that he got his cast and they all clearly loved working with him so much. I think The Devil's Rejects though is easily my personal favorite. I remember I bought the DVD for that at Walmart when I was I don't know, maybe 15. And I remember watching the documentary after called 30 Days in Hell, which is just how they literally shot all the film in 30 days, middle of the summer in the desert. Everyone was sweating and gross, and everyone just really did not like working, but especially by probably day 5. But they made it work, and honestly, I think they made one of the best, most underrated horror films I've ever seen. I'm just going to pull these two out at the same time. This is the Classic Monsters collection. I also like at the back, it has a Universal picture, the original logo. This has all the original Universal Monsters films from Dracula all the way through, I believe,
Is Wolfman the last one?
I believe Bride of Frankenstein, I think, is the last one.
Maybe.
I believe Bride of Frankenstein. But yeah, it's got Dracula, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, The Mummy, Invisible Man, and The Wolfman. And yeah, I mean, these are great movies. I mean, it's really fun to kind of see the origins of all these monsters, and now every single year it seems like we just keep getting new ones. I mean, we literally just got a Wolfman 2 months ago at the time of recording. And then this is, since this one isn't in that collection, but I managed to find another different steeler for it, is The Creature from the Black Lagoon, which is another one of my personal favorites. I would love to see Guillermo del Toro or someone come back and redo Creature from the Black Lagoon, but I don't know why that's the one monster I feel like no one ever wants to touch. Maybe just because the practical effects take a lot of time and stuff, and they don't want to shell out for it like these big companies don't. But You know, at the same time, you could do stuff for smaller budget. We saw that with Invisible Man a few years ago from Lee Winnell. That movie's great. I think, honestly, even surpasses the original Invisible Man. Which is saying a lot, because the original Invisible Man, really, really good. One of my favorites in this collection. This is my Christmas Specials Steelbook. Just got 5 classic Christmas movies. Got Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Frosty the Snowman, Santa Claus Coming to Town, The Little Drummer Boy, and Cricket on the Hearth. Yeah, I mean, I grew up on Rankin Bass, especially Rudolph. Rudolph, all-time favorite holiday character ever. Really kind of like, I guess, sympathize with him growing up a lot. And I have a bunch of like stuffed animals of Rudolph and a bunch of Christmas ornaments too. But yeah, it's got all of them. Also, a little fun fact, my brother, anytime that the song Frosty the Snowman comes on, he makes us either change it or cover his ears because he hates the song so much. He says it makes his ears feel like they're bleeding. To this day, I do not understand what he means. We got one more trilogy up here, it looks like. We got the Man with No Name trilogy. I got this at Walmart for probably like $12 a few years ago. This is when I was back in college, but yeah, it's got Fistful of Dollars for a few dollars more, and of course, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. You can't go wrong with them. Some of the best westerns ever made. Clint Eastwood, height of his powers here. And yeah, I mean, what else is there to say that hasn't been said a million times about the Man with No Name trilogy? Next up, we got another trilogy. This is one, honestly, I've been looking to upgrade this back to a 4K because it's some of my favorite movies of all time. We got The World's End, Hot Fuzz, and Shaun of the Dead. I don't know why I said them in reverse order. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. But yeah, Shaun of the Dead is possibly my favorite zombie movie of all time. And Hot Fuzz, easily my favorite cop movie of all time. And The World's End is just another pretty good Edgar Wright movie. But that man has not made a movie that I do not at least like or love. And he has a new movie coming out this year, which I'm very excited for. So, yeah, I mean, I love Shaun of the Dead. I've seen that a bunch of times. I feel like it's one of those movies that every time you watch it, you can get new appreciation for it and pick up on little, like, tiny little jokes that he just threw in there just for fun. Next up is one that I bought specifically for my girlfriend, but she doesn't have a movie collection rack, but I do. I got us a little movie date night double feature. We got Dear John and The Vow. We watched both of these. I think. I don't remember either of these. I do not like these kind of movies. Not my thing. But I own them now, so that's kind of fun. These are just going to kind of be a bunch of just collections of movies. You know, you go to Walmart or like a Target or something, and not anymore with Target, but you know, you go and you find like a little just a Blu-ray or DVD combo pack. It just has random movies in it. So this is my Own the Moments collection. It's got Horton Hears a Who, it's got Space Chimps, and it's got Robots. I mean, 3 classics. Space Chimps, I feel like no one's ever really seen Space Chimps. It's alright. But I have fond memories of watching Space Chimps with my mom, my grandma. Sadly, she passed away quite a few years back, but I remember going to our local mall, also a mall that's shut down now. But I remember going there and watching that with her, and she would always make us sit in the very front row of the movie theater for some reason. Thank God IMAX did not exist at the time. But yeah, I mean, these movies are great. I think Horton Hears a Who to this day is probably the best Dr. Seuss adaptation that exists. Because I personally am not a big fan of the Jim Carrey Grinch movie. I do like the original animated Grinch movie that you will see later. And Robots, I haven't seen Robots in years. Yeah, I should give Robots a rewatch. I don't remember much about Robots, if I'm being completely honest. These are 2 collections for a bunch of Kevin Smith movies. It's got, between the 2 of them, we've got both Clerks 1 and 2. We've got Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. We've got Chasing Amy and Zack and Miri Make It Porno, which this title is only Zack and Miri, but the full title is Zack and Miri Make It Porno. Kevin Smith, he's one of those directors that all his movies, like, he just kind of does what he wants, and he's really just made a career out of that, and something that I can really, really respect at the core of all his films. I will say, overall, I don't like a lot of his films, especially stuff like Chasing Amy. I just watched Chasing Amy for the first time this past week. If this wasn't in a combo pack with 2 movies that I actually like, I would have broken the disc. I hated it. It's a terrible movie, and I hope Kevin Smith has at least met one lesbian since making that movie. We've got some like superheroes. We've got just kind of those superheroes which kind of like on the outskirts of DC or like Image Comics and stuff. This one's The Crow and Highlander, the director's cut. Yeah, I mean, The Crow, I'm not a giant fan of it, if I'm being completely honest. But obviously, Brandon Lee, God rest his soul. I mean, he is really good in the movie, and what happened to him set was tragic. And if only that kind of stuff wouldn't keep happening on film sets, but unfortunately it keeps happening. And Highlander, I love Highlander. I think Highlander's a really good time, especially if you just get a couple drinks in, you're watching Highlander. By the end, you're also going to be screaming, "There can only be one!" And then we got V for Vendetta, Watchmen, the director's cut version, and Constantine. Constantine, they keep saying they're going to make another Constantine movie. Why haven't they? I have no idea. Because Keanu Reeves wants to do it. I want him to do it. They all want to do it. Do it already. Also, Watchmen, director's cut. I mean, I remember watching this, probably my first Zack Snyder film that I ever saw. And I was like, man, Watchmen's the coolest thing ever. And then I read the graphic novel and I was like, this movie's not that great. But it's decent for what it is. And V for Vendetta is incredible. That is all-time top 10 DC movies for me. And I will fight anyone who disagrees. We've got Face Off and Snake Eyes, a Nick Cage double feature here. Yeah, I mean, Face Off, unbelievable classic. Just a balls to the wall, John Travolta and Nick Cage yelling at each other while they're also beating each other while doves fly in the air. It's just mayhem start to finish, and I absolutely love it. It's my favorite kind of Nick Cage movie. Snake Eyes, the opening scene of Snake Eyes is one of the best long takes I've ever seen in a movie. It is right up there with the Coco Cabana shot from Goodfellas. I don't remember a single other scene in Snake Eyes, but that opening scene is great. So even if you don't watch the movie, watch that scene on YouTube. It's worth a watch. I got this at also, once again, our local movie store, Soundgarden, a few months ago. This is a cool action double feature, 2012, and the god-awful 2000 Godzilla movie. I mean, I like 2012, and Godzilla, I was just like, I like collecting Godzilla movies. And it looks like probably $4. So, I mean, $4 for both of these? Why not? I mean, who knows? Maybe one day I'll be able to sit down with my kids and be like, we all thought the world was going to end in 2012. And he's going to say, Dad, what are you talking about? Here's some family fun movies. We've got a cool little combo pack here. It's got Hotel Transylvania and Monster House. I mean, I love Hotel Transylvania. Honestly, a really good, family film, especially around, Halloween season. If your kids are too young to really want to watch, a horror film, sit down and watch Hotel Transylvania with them. I think everyone will have a really good time. Adam Sandler had a blast making that. Even Hotel Transylvania 2 is also really good. And then They Aren't. But 1 and 2, really good movies. And Monster House, I mean, that movie's up there with, Coraline, just, really creepy kids movies that border on not even being kids movies anymore. This movie gave me nightmares as a kid when I first saw it on Cartoon Network. And then also we got Hugo and the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah, I mean, Hugo is one of those movies. This is a Martin Scorsese. He made this kids film called Hugo. It's based on a book by the same name. And I remember seeing this, and this was one of the first movies that really made me want to get into filmmaking and media and stuff. And it really just has a beautiful message at the heart of it about following your dreams and never really knowing when to quit. And Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, it's it's Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. He tries to kill a bunch of kids in a chocolate factory. It's pretty much a horror film, but it's great. It's also my favorite adaptation of it. Second would be Wonka, and then I don't talk about the Johnny Depp one. I got this at Big Lots. I know that one for sure, because it was one of the Big Lots that was going out of business. But yeah, this is a cool 4-movie combo pack. Apollo 13, Backdraft, Aaron Brockovich, and Lone Survivor. I mean, honestly, some really good movies, especially for a low price and a nice combo pack. Aaron Brockovich is one of the best performances I have ever seen. Julia Roberts, incredible in that. Apollo 13, also really good Tom Hanks movie. Backdraft, I have not seen Backdraft yet, I will be honest. That's actually one on this collection that I still need to watch. And Lone Survivor, I mean, I'm not a big Mark Wahlberg fan, but in terms of Mark Wahlberg movies, I feel like it's pretty good. And you can't really go wrong there. Alright, next up we got another combo pack. This is another a DC combo pack, actually. This is The Losers and Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex is awful. It is really bad, not worth your time at all. But The Losers, I actually watched The Losers only because a YouTube channel I love called The Weekly Planet was watching it for a video. And I was like, well, I want to watch it before I watch their video on it. So, I found this nice cheap little 2-movie pack. The Losers is great. It is just a bunch of actors just having a blast, just kind of yelling at each other. A lot of just gun action, just quips every 10 seconds. It kind of feels like what an MCU movie would be if it was rated R. Is this even rated R? I don't even know. This isn't even rated R, but it feels like it is rated R. And honestly, I feel like that kind of goes a long way in even making this even better, in my opinion. So now we're getting on to level 3 here. And this is also, these aren't really collections per se, but I have the MCU and then I have the DCEU kind of all back to back, all before I get into my alphabetical movies. So yeah, we'll just kind of start off. I mean, there's not much to say. This is my copy for Iron Man. I mean, I don't want to make this whole video just talking about the MCU. I'll talk about them more if I have like a really nice copy of a movie. But I have Iron Man. We have The Incredible Hulk, a movie that out of nowhere this year finally became important in the MCU for the new Captain America movie. Who would have thought? Next, Iron Man 2. Pretty mediocre MCU movie. Also, first Thor movie. Also, kind of mediocre MCU movie. I think the best part about the first Thor movie is the fact that they dyed Chris Hemsworth's eyebrows like bright yellow blonde. It is so jarring, especially watching him now. It's kind of fun going back to those early MCU movies. Like, these guys weren't household names quite yet, and now, I mean, everyone on the planet knows them. We're going to wrap up Phase 1 of the MCU. We've got Captain America, the First Avenger. Upon a rewatch, this might be probably my second favorite in the first phase of the MCU, right behind the first Iron Man movie. Here's the standalones. This movie's underrated as heck. I mean, everyone in this movie does an incredible job. It's shot really well. It feels old-timey while also feeling kind of like something new and fresh in the superhero genre. What else would you expect from them? They got the director of The Rocketeer for a reason. And then also, this is Walmart last year did a collab with Mondo to do some steelbooks for the MCU. And so this is their steelbook for the Avengers. It's a nice, really cool slipcover steelbook. The back, you have Iron Man there. I think the disc it's just a regular, just 4K and Blu-ray. But yeah, I love that Mondo did this. I have all of their copies. They did with Walmart at least. I'm hoping that they do another collab soon because there's a lot more MCU movies that I would like to actually upgrade. But yeah, I mean, the first Avengers, seeing that in a theater as a kid with just me and my dad and my brother, I was astonished. I think that was like one of those first life-changing moments in a theater for me, all the way up until Endgame, which to this day is my favorite film-going experience I've ever had. Next up, we're going into Phase 2. Let's just knock a few right out of the park. We got 3 4Ks here. We got Iron Man 3, Thor: The Dark World, and Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Captain America: Winter Soldier, I mean, out of the 3 of these, I mean, that's the one to watch. Captain America: Winter Soldier is an incredible movie. Probably still my favorite Captain America movie. Might be my favorite MCU movie. But my favorite MCU kind of waxes and wanes. It kind of goes. It's usually a Russo brother movie, though. Next up is the next Mondo one. Guardians of the Galaxy. This one's also a nice slipcover. Really nice there. It's also 4K and Blu-ray. Yeah, it is my favorite 3 movies in the MCU. If I had to watch 3 just in a row, it's Guardians of the Galaxy all day. These movies are really good. Incredible soundtrack. Heartfelt. Really funny. And I'm really happy that they took a chance on James Gunn and this property so early into the MCU, because I think it really paid off. Next up, we're going to wrap up Phase 2 of the MCU. This is just a regular Blu-ray for Avengers: Age of Ultron, and this is just a regular Blu-ray for Ant-Man. To this day, I don't really know why Ant-Man is the last movie in Phase 2, especially after you end with Age of Ultron, but whatever. That's how it ends. Yeah, they're pretty good. I like Ant-Man more. But yeah, Age of Ultron, it's alright. Captain America: Civil War, just rewatched this with all my friends. We had a great time. This movie's really good. Doctor Strange, speaking of my friend Vincent, he got this for me. Really nice slipcover steel. But he got this before Walmart ever did the collab, so shout out to Vin. But I love that they got the original Jim Lee artwork and stuff. Really, really nice. And honestly, a lot better on a rewatch than I thought it would be. And we also got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This one, I at least kept the slipcover for this one. But yeah, this is just a regular Blu-ray for that one. It's probably my least favorite in the trilogy, and I still don't own the third one because I want to get a really nice copy for it. Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Homecoming. It's a good Spider-Man probably movie. It's decent. I would say put it right around the middle of my Spider-Man ranking. Thor Ragnarok, right at the top of my Thor ranking. I mean, Thor Ragnarok's hilarious. Really, really funny movie. Really action heavy, and I think it all works in that movie. Unlike his next movie when he did Thor: Love and Thunder, which I do not like. And then this, another Mondo one. Really cool Black Panther steelbook. Has some really good performances, some really good music, and it definitely has a vibe to it that you can kind of just get in and appreciate. Next up, Avengers Infinity War. I still need to upgrade this one to like a nice 4K or something. But for now, I got this Blu-ray, just this classic slipcover. One of the best superhero movies ever made. My favorite Avengers movie. Incredible movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Not one of my favorite superhero movies. I genuinely hate this movie. I might rewatch it before Thunderbolt just because I kind of forgot everything about the character of Ghost. But we'll see. Captain Marvel. Once again, kind of two bummers in a row. I'm not a huge Captain Marvel fan. I think, honestly, the Marvels is more fun. Even if it's not a good movie, I do think it's more fun, at least. Captain Marvel is kind of long and boring. And also, Avengers Endgame. I mean, what else is there to say? Incredible movie. The theater-going experience for that. We were all crying in the theater. We're all cheering. And, yeah, I mean, I will never forget that. Never forget it. Yeah, this is a really cool steelbook I got. Also, once again, our local movie store, Soundgarden. I think it was just a Mondo one that someone must have wanted to resell. But yeah, it's got the 4K and the Blu-ray. I mean, really nice copy for not one of my favorite Spider-Man movies, but I definitely don't hate it. And I also like that he actually gets a couple different costumes in the movie, which I do think is kind of a core part of the Spider-Man character. These are the last MCU movies that I actually own. I don't own all of them, so we're going to get up to the last one here. But Black Widow. I love that it came with a cool red Blu-ray case. I mean, I don't have any other movies I think that are like that. So, I think that's really cool. I got a 4K copy of The Eternals that Andrew actually gave me. For some reason, he has two, even though he has never seen the movie. So, maybe one day we'll sit down and rewatch Eternals and bask in the glory of, do I know any of these characters named Kingo? We'll bask in the glory of Kingo. My favorite Spider-Man movie that Tom Holland has done, Spider-Man No Way Home. This is cool. Walmart did like this nice like slipcover copy for it. It's nice 4K, tons of bonus features. I love that movie. I really do. I get why some people are kind of like, they don't like it as much in retrospect, but whatever. For me, it still works, and I love seeing all the Spider-Man together, and I like that they didn't really feel like cameos by the end. They kind of felt like characters that just kind of come in pretty late into the movie. And yeah, the last one I own. It's a 4K steelbook for Wakanda Forever. It's alright. They made two of these steelbooks. I don't know why Marvel keeps thinking that we're going to buy two steelbooks for the movies. Make a nice steelbook and then be done with it. Because despite what you might think from all these Blu-rays, like, most of them I get for pretty cheap. Because movies are really expensive. Like, most people can't just go out and buy a $70 copy of one movie. $70 can go a long way. You go to a nice, like, secondhand store, you can pick up probably 10 movies for that price. But yeah, this is just, I think this was on Best Buy. I was kind of phasing out all their physical media. And I like Wakanda Forever. I wonder when we're going to see people like Namor and stuff again. Next up, this is the X-Men movies. I also have just kind of these right up at the front, because some of the X-Men movies have different titles. So yeah, this is the original trilogy. It's X-Men, X2 United, and X-Men The Last Stand. I rewatched all of these before Deadpool and Wolverine. Gotta say, X-Men movies really hold up. I'm really glad that they kind of made them when they did. I feel like it's given the X-Men time to evolve. I love the original animated series. X-Men 97 is the best thing the MCU has made since Endgame, in my opinion. That show is really, really great follow-up. And yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with the X-Men and the actual MCU, besides the weird post-credit scene at the end of the Marvels. This is X-Men Origins Wolverine. It exists. I'm not a big fan of this movie at all. It's kind of cool. I think this has a digital copy disc. Next up, this is the X-Men movies. I also have just kind of these right up at the front, because some of the X-Men movies have different titles. So yeah, this is the original trilogy. It's X-Men, X2 United, and X-Men The Last Stand. I rewatched all of these before Deadpool and Wolverine. Gotta say, X-Men movies really hold up. I'm really glad that they kind of made them when they did. I feel like it's given the X-Men time to evolve. This is X-Men Origins Wolverine. I'm not a big fan of this movie at all. It's kind of cool. I think this has a digital copy disc. It has like an actual physical disc inside that you're supposed to like put into a computer back in the day. Nowadays, obviously, no, you're not going to see any movie that makes something like that. So that's kind of also kind of fun thing about physical media. It's almost like a little history book throughout the ages. And yeah, this is the first one, the next trilogy, X-Men First Class. I love this movie. Might be my favorite X-Men movie, if I'm being honest. Also, once again, Matthew Vaughn, this is the one that put him on the map. This is why we got Kingsman, because of stuff like X-Men First Class and how well he did adapting that. We got a few more. Got The Wolverine. Better than X-Men Origins. Still not great, still not Logan, but pretty good. I wish it was R instead of PG-13. Days of Future Past. This is actually the Rogue cut. This is a version of Days of Future Past that they actually added Rogue into the movie, which kind of has like a pivotal role, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of cool. They had like two fully different versions of the movie that they made. The first Deadpool movie, at this point, I feel like we can just call this a classic. I mean, Deadpool, he's gone on, such a huge household name, and we only got this movie because someone, definitely not Ryan Reynolds, leaked a bunch of footage for the movie. So, thank you, whoever did that. Definitely not Ryan Reynolds. And this is X-Men Apocalypse. I hate this movie. It's really bad. They tarnished everything that I like about all these characters in like one fell swoop in this. But the case is kind of cool. It has a little X at the top. So that's nice. Finishing up the X-Men movies that I own. Logan, this is a cool copy Walmart made. It's got some cool art cards inside of it. And it also includes both the regular version and the noir version, which is just Logan, but in black and white. The color version is my preferred version, but it's cool to have both. And Logan is an incredible movie. 5 stars in my opinion. Just mind-blowing how good this movie is. And Deadpool 2, the Super Duper cut. It's pretty good. It's not great in my opinion, but it's alright. It's probably it's my least favorite in the trilogy of Deadpool. But it's pretty good. It's also very sad this movie sadly took the life of one of the stunt people who worked on it. So, R.I.P. We're getting to DC territory. This is my DC 9 film set. This includes everything Superman, Superman 2, the Richard Donner version, not the Superman 2 that you'll see on stuff like Max and stuff. So that's kind of cool it has that version. Superman 3, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, Superman Returns, Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin. Just a nice compact version for all these classic Batman, Superman movies. They're classics for a reason. I'm happy that we have these, and I'm also happy that these are two characters that are so pivotal in the superhero genre that we're always going to have new adaptations to look forward to. Man of Steel, not a great Superman movie in my opinion, but a really good Superman actor, and I'm sad that Henry Cavill didn't really get a chance to shine in the entire DCEU, but the music in this movie too, I feel like that trailer, when they first released it, and he's just flying up into the sky, really, really good. So lots of good aspects to it, I don't think it really fully comes together. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. This movie isn't great, and I will forever be mad about it, because before going to see it, my friend Vin, who I've already mentioned, told me, there's a post-credit scene that you really want to stick around for. And this movie's like almost 3 hours long. I really had to go to the bathroom by the end. We sit all the way through the credits. There's not an after-credit scene in this movie. So, thanks for that, Vin. It's the Suicide Squad. Not the Suicide Squad. It's Suicide Squad. It's really bad. I'm not a fan of this movie. I just own it purely for collection's sake at this point. It could have been good. I feel like David Ayer can make a better movie. I really like this movie, The Beekeeper, which is a lot better than that, which who would have ever expected that?
I did.
Next up, this is one of my favorite steelbooks I own. Really cool. I don't know what company made this, but I got this secondhand. It's a Wonder Woman steelbook. I got this at a local gaming convention, actually. It's got the 4K and the Blu-ray in it. The outside looks like a shield. And in terms of the DCEU, I think Wonder Woman's probably my favorite movie. Wonder Woman 2 might be my least favorite in the DCEU. So it's pretty crazy spectrum in how they did that. But I wonder when we'll see Wonder Woman next in James Gunn's DCU. Let's bang out these two pieces of trash together. The Justice League. It's awful. I bought this before we ever had the Zack Snyder's Justice League, but now I keep it because, for all we know, this is one of those kind of movies I feel like it'll be lost to time, but it's kind of fun to have both versions of it. Just to be like, this was the one that was released, and we had to wait like 10 years to get the actual good version. And this is the first Aquaman movie. I don't think it's the worst movie ever made. I don't think it's the best movie ever made. I think in terms of a superhero origin movie, it is like exact middle of the road. We're going down to level 4. We've got Shazam. I don't know if the camera can get that, but it's kind of both versions of the cover. I really like Shazam. I think it's a great movie. Eli Roth also made it, which he's never really done anything else like that. He usually just stuff like Thanksgiving or like Grindhouse kind of movies. So really cool he made something like this. I love Shazam. It's also the only Zachary Levi movie I think I actually like. What is this? What's the full title for this? Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. That's a ridiculous title for a ridiculous movie that I do not remember. I remember that Black Mask is in it. Oh, it's Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor's in this. He's Black Mask. That's fun, I guess. And Margot Robbie, she's a good Harley Quinn, but I don't think this movie really did her much justice. And this is Wonder Woman 1984. This turns Wonder Woman into a rapist, so that's fun. Let's round out the whole DCEU. This is my steelbook for the Zack Snyder version of Justice League. I really like this movie. I watched all 4 hours in one day, kind of broke it up into 2 different settings, but watched all 4 hours of it in one day at college, and I was like, I'm kind of mind blown by this. I'm glad that they gave him some money, let him kind of fully get his picture out there. It would have been nice if this was the original version we got. We didn't get the other one. But, at the same time, if that happened, maybe we wouldn't be getting James Gunn's universe. You never know how movies work. Everything happens for a reason. This is also a cool steelbook for the good Suicide Squad, The Suicide Squad. Really great movie. Great cast, and James Gunn, he knocked it out of the park with this movie. One of my favorite movies. I've seen it so many times now. Highly, highly recommend. If you are like a DC hater, this might turn you off on that. And this is The Flash. I got this on sale somewhere. This movie's a mess. This is like the definition of just a mess. And it's kind of interesting for that, but also it's kind of sad that this is the only Flash movie we have. If you like The Flash, go watch the show. Like the first 3 seasons. Let's do some Star Wars, why don't we? We're starting off with Solo. This movie's fine.
This guy.
This movie's fine. It has a really cool train sequence, but other than that, it's pretty much just how Han Solo got his name, which is kind of boring to me. Rogue One, I'm planning to rewatch this as soon as Andor Season 2 ends, which I'm so excited for Andor Season 2. Who would have thought they could have made a guy who we know how he ends up, and they made such a good show out of it, and this movie's really good. Great director. Really recommend. Best movie that Disney has made with Star Wars. Next, we got the Despecialized edition. Not really, I don't think you can buy this legally or anything, but this is the Star Wars trilogy without all the special effects and everything that they added on later on. This is just the original way to watch them all. It's really cool, honestly, to have that. So if you can track down a copy of that, I highly recommend, because there's no way that Disney will ever release it. Next up, this is the Star Wars The Complete Saga. So this is everything. This is episodes 1 through 6. All in one nice tight bundle. It's also got all the bonus features. It has like the documentaries about like how they made Phantom Menace and stuff, which is honestly even more entertaining than the actual movies themselves, in my opinion. Then we got the new trilogy, Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and my least favorite Star Wars movie ever made, Rise of Skywalker. This Disney trilogy, it's fine. I feel like you can just kind of watch them, like, yeah, it's fine, I guess, and then they kind of go out of your mind as soon as you watch them. It's like definition of like a popcorn flick, I feel like. So for some reason, when I organize these alphabetically, I go through my Letterboxd account, and I kind of put all of them into a big list, and I sort it by film name. How Letterboxd says that they put any movies that start with a number at the very top. So that's kind of how I organize my movies. So anything that starts with a number, my collection starts at the very top. So we're starting off with Four Christmases. Great Christmas movie, really funny. Vince Vaughn, he's great in this. I love this movie. It's a ton of fun. It's got a lot of like really dirty jokes, especially around like holidays and stuff. But for a Christmas party, throw this on in the background. Everyone's gonna have a great time. Next up, got the movie 9. This is a movie about puppets and the apocalypse. I bought it before I ever actually watched it. And then I watched it. And I was like, it's pretty good. It's not great. I think I feel like it suits more for like a short film. But I think it is a little long for what it kind of ends up being. Next up, another Criterion, 12 Angry Men. An incredible movie. Incredible cast, incredible script. Everything about 12 Angry Men really is just, it's a masterclass in how to make a movie in terms of just a single room and just guys talking. And I really don't think you can go wrong with that. 40-year-old version, really, really funny movie. I have a lot of comedies in my collection. Just kind of get comedies throughout the year. It's not like something I necessarily need to own all the time, but when I do, it's usually because I find them nice, just cheap copy. Speaking of cheap copies, 47 Ronin. This is a weird Keanu Reeves action movie with a lot of slow motion in it. And he's a samurai, and he fights mythical monsters, I think, at one point. I don't really remember much about this, if I'm being honest. But I own it, so that's fun. Keanu Reeves is in it, so you can't go wrong with the Keanu Reeves movie, right? 99 Homes. Watched this on Hulu, and then I had to go find a Blu-ray copy of it, because I was like, this movie's really good. It's Andrew Garfield and Michael Shannon. Michael Shannon is a detestable homeowner in this movie, and Andrew Garfield's kind of the guy he kind of takes under his wing, and it's just kind of watching a mentor just corrupt their mentee, And it's really sad, really depressing, but some really good performance. I feel like people don't talk about this enough. Next up, I'm just going to do them both at once. 300 and 300 Rise of an Empire. 300, I mean, that's a classic. I feel like every guy in my generation knows 300. And 300 Rise of an Empire, I don't remember anything about this, like, at all. But I think I got them both for cheap somewhere, so I got both of them. And they're fine. They're good for what they are. I mean, but 300, I think, still holds up as probably my favorite Zack Snyder movie. Got another Criterion. This is the 400 Blows. I watched this for a film class, but before I ever watched it for a film class, my friend Vin showed me this movie. This movie is actually part of a series. It's called The Life of Antoine something, whatever the guy, Antoine Donnell. That's like a whole series. I've never seen any of the other ones, but the 400 Blows, I've seen this quite a few times now. It's heartbreaking, but also uplifting at the same time. Definition of just like a really good French film. 1917, cool 4K steelbook for it. I mean, really good movie. I honestly, who knows when I'll ever rewatch 1917, but the cinematography alone in that movie from Roger Deakins, I felt like it was worth a nice buy, especially for a 4K copy. And I think Target, back when they had physical media, had this for like a good sale on steelbook, so I'm like, why not? Next up, I actually got this recently. This is one from the Soundgarden, once again. It's called 52577. It is a movie made by this guy named Pat Johnson. It is supposedly his true story of how he grew up loving movies, especially loving 2001: A Space Odyssey. And growing up loving all these kind of things, he would make little films in his backyard and everything. And it led to him finally, like so many other people of the generation, not wanting to wait to watch the first Star Wars movie in a theater. And that's kind of how the movie culminates at the very end. It's an interesting movie. I think it is a little too long, but at the same time, for a director's just passion project, I feel like he kind of deserves it. So, honestly, shout out to this movie. If you have not seen, which most people have not, I do recommend. Next up, speaking of 2001, you see 2001 later, but this is 2010, the year we make contact. I bought this last year, and I loved this movie. This movie has a lot of really interesting concepts, and also, it's a direct sequel to 2001, which I didn't know until I started watching it. But yeah, I mean, this movie is really cool. It's got one of the original actors coming back, as well as the voice of HAL 9000. They both return in the movie. Cinematography is still really cool. It's not a Stanley Kubrick movie, but nothing else is. But I do recommend. This kind of blew me away, if I'm being completely honest, in terms of a sequel I'd never seen. Next up, James Cameron's The Abyss. I remember watching this as a VHS copy growing up. So I had to pick up the 4K when they finally dropped it. One of the most underrated James Cameron movies. Some really interesting CGI and like graphics and stuff that they made exclusively for this movie. Like he does everything else that he makes. But yeah, highly recommend. Also, the cast almost drowned on this movie, so that's also a little fun fact. Adaptation. It is a really, really good movie. It's a Nick Cage. He's playing two different versions of Nick Cage. Got Meryl Streep. And I mean, it's a weird movie, but once you kind of sit in there, you kind of learn to enjoy it. And if you can appreciate it, you'll really appreciate it. If you can't, you probably will not like Adaptation. Next up, Addams Family double feature. It's got Addams Family and the Addams Family Values. These movies are a blast. Christina Ricci is easily my favorite version of Wednesday. Get out of here, Jenna Ortega. I think these movies are a blast. I would love to see them try and do another really good Addams Family movie, but I don't know if we ever will. But the Addams Family, I feel like they never really leave, so I'm sure we'll keep getting more stuff. This is a cool Criterion edition for After Hours, underrated Martin Scorsese movie. Watched this for the first time a couple years ago. The entire movie takes place over one night, where a bunch of bizarre stuff keeps happening to the same guy who's just trying to get home. It kind of reminds you of Good Time, but with a bit more lighter quality to it, which is really fun. Honestly, Martin Scorsese, I mean, his filmography, people might say, oh, he just does the Gabagool, he just does all the different mafia movies. But no, he also does stuff like this in Hugo. Next up, Airplane double feature. It's both Airplane movies. Can't go wrong. Airplane and Airplane 2, the sequel. I mean, these movies, they're a joke every 10 seconds, it seems like. Not every joke is going to land, obviously. A lot of jokes haven't even aged that well, or honestly, sometimes you just don't understand what they're talking about because that's so of the era. But at the same time, the jokes that do land, they really land. There's a reason why this movie holds up. Speaking of just franchises, not all of these obviously start with A, but we are getting into just kind of alphabet here. So we're going to start off, this is Prometheus. I actually bought this copy when I took my 8th grade trip to Quebec. And this is one of the souvenirs I bought. It was a copy of Prometheus for some reason. So yeah, I mean, in terms of alien movies, definitely not my favorite, but it has some interesting concepts, and I feel like they've kind of played around with a bit better in recent installments like Alien Romulus. These are two copies I absolutely love. This is Walmart did these a while ago. It's Alien and Aliens. They have a bunch of really cool bonus features. They have art cards. They have there's different versions of it too. This is also the first time I ever watched the Alien, the original movie, the extended edition, which has stuff like how they kind of turn people into like the egg sacs and everything, which has been a long stay in the franchise. But you only see that in the extended version. But Alien Aliens, two of my favorite movies of all time. They always will be. Absolutely love them. Ridley Scott, one of my favorite directors. Once again, another director. He does so many varying projects of varying quality as well. But he clearly loves making movies. And I feel like that's really what's most important for a director. The rest of the Alien movies that I do own, I got Alien 3. This one's Sigourney Weaver went bald. Also, is anyone else named Sigourney, or is it just her? I think it's just her in like the entire universe. It might just be Sigourney Weaver. But anyway, yeah, this is Alien 3. It has that great scene of the alien like right into her face. Everything else in that movie, not one of my favorites. But also the director hates the movie, so I mean, I'm not alone. This is Alien Resurrection. Also, once again, not a favorite of mine at all. But there's a moment in it where she makes a 3-point basketball shot backwards, and she just did that. So that's just a thing that Sigourney Weaver can do. This is the last Alien movie I actually own, called Alien Covenant. It's alright. You get to watch Michael Fassbender play with himself, so that's kind of fun. And this is the Alien vs. Predator double feature. Alien vs. Predator, I think, is a really fun movie. I would love to get a better Alien vs. Predator movie eventually in the future, but for now, I do think this is a pretty good one. And, wow, oh, that was a good catch. And Alien vs. Predator Requiem sucks. It's really bad and pretty much just takes place in a cornfield and you can't see anything. So that kind of sucks. But the first Alien vs. Predator, highly recommend. Finishing up this shelf, we got All That Jazz. This is a really good Criterion Edition movie I watched for the first time last year. I need to give this one a rewatch, I will be honest. I feel like I might have been dozing off the parts, but everything that I saw in this movie, I really loved. It has amazing cinematography, really good acting. There's really kind of like surreal vibes to it, while also not being overly surreal to the point where you can't understand the story. Almost Famous, the bootleg cut. This movie's really good. Great take on kind of the rock and roll lifestyle, but also not just from the point of view of an actual like the rock and roll star themselves. Amelie, it's a French movie. This is kind of more what I'm saying when I say sometimes French movies are too French for me. I'm not a huge Amelie fan. I like the musical more than I do the movie. And American Hustle, yeah, this movie is fun. This movie has a crazy cast. Got Jeremy Renner, got Christian Bale and Amy Adams and everyone. They're just having a great time in this. It's probably not like a big rewatch value to me, but I do like it enough to own a copy of it. And yeah, I mean, it's a fun little crime movie, which I really enjoy. Alright, so this is American Psycho. This is a really fun slipcover. I know a lot of people in the collectors community have been just putting the slipcover on other movies as well. But yeah, I mean, what else is there to say? I love American Psycho. I love every aspect about this movie. And the fact that they're making a remake of it, I'm going to hold out judgment. I do think it could be interesting because this is also very different from the book. So if someone wants to adapt the book a bit more, we could get a very different take on it. I just don't see much value in remaking something that I do consider to be a perfect slasher. Got an Arrow copy for American Werewolf in London. Still to this day, my favorite werewolf transformation sequence. I mean, you've got Nazi werewolves in this, and also this movie has a million bonus features. I mean, just look at that. Just look at all those special features. Anchorman 1 and 2. I mean, the first Anchorman movie, I'm pretty sure I've seen the first Anchorman upwards of 100 times, because whenever I used to go to my friend's house, literally we would just watch it on repeat. Either that or Step Brothers. I mean, Anchorman 2, great movies. And now I work in the news, so this is even more fun for me. And Annie, the classic musical, you can't go wrong with it. I love this movie. I love the kind of message about finding your own family and everything, even though it might not be exactly what you dreamed of, but eventually there's good things down the road. And Annie, it's a great movie. It's a great musical. Back to movies I bought for my girlfriend that I don't really enjoy. Anyone But You, it's fine. Sydney Sweeney's good. Glenn Powell's fine. But, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it, but at the same time, Sydney Sweeney, she knows how to market herself. She specifically did this movie just so she could make other movies that she really wanted to, like movies like Immaculate, which is a great horror film from last year. So, Sydney Sweeney, keep doing your thing. This is a really nice copy I got a while ago at Target of Apocalypse Now. Has every different cut of the movie. In case you didn't know, this movie had a million different versions of it when they were making it. It also includes the amazing documentary called Hearts of Darkness, which is way more fun than the actual movie Apocalypse Now, but it's just all the behind the scenes of this movie that seems like it took the life out of like half the cast, and Marlon Brando seems like the worst actor in the world that I would never want to work with, but the man got results. Argo, good. I think this movie won Best Picture of the year that came out. I mean, I don't even know. Is this even a true story? Yeah, it is. Yeah, this is a declassified true story. Yeah, I mean, it's really good, just kind of a political drama, and also about filmmaking, which is also just kind of fun. This has someone's name written on it, I don't know why. I probably got this at like a garage sale or something. This is a nice 4K copy for Arrival. I mean, Denis Villeneuve, you're going to see a lot of Denis Villeneuve in my collection. He's an incredible director, and this movie's great. This is the Austin Powers trilogy. It's got all three of them. There's his brother on the back. And then, it's got, they're very slim little copies in the middle, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. And, I mean, I like the Austin Powers movies enough. Not like my favorite movies in the world, but I do love the first one. The first one I do think is, like, one of the best comedies ever made. This is Atonement. This is a very sad romance film. Not to say rom-com, but there's nothing funny in this. But very sad romance movie, but also James McAvoy, very good in it. And, it's definitely worth a watch. This is the only version that you can get that has a 3-hour-long documentary about making Avatar. I loved this movie when it first came out. I mean, my grandpa wanted to go see it, and I was obsessed for years. And, so I was very happy to have this copy. And, the one that Disney made last year doesn't even have half the bonus features that this does. That's why it's always important to check your bonus features before you just go and upgrade. And this is Avatar 2, Way of Water. This is the Disney Steelbook, but Disney made this one, so I'll let it slide, I guess. But it's a cool little Steelbook, and I wanted to have them both. And nice 4K copy for it. This is one of my favorite copies of any movie that I own. It's the Babadook Pride Month edition that Scream Factory made. They made this. All the proceeds went towards LGBTQ organization. But what's really fun, in case you didn't know, the Babadook became a queer icon when out of nowhere on Netflix one day, they put the Babadook into the LGBTQ experience collection that they had. And overnight, immediately, it just becomes a gay icon. So now I have this really fun copy for a movie that is nowhere near as colorful or bright as this cover would let you imagine. Next up, back to Edgar Wright, Baby Driver. This movie's incredible. Great cast, great soundtrack, great cinematography, perfect editing. Cannot go wrong. One of the most fun movies I've ever seen. Back to the Future trilogy. Speaking of just movies that are honestly just kind of perfect, honestly. The first Back to the Future movie is pretty much a perfect movie start to finish. This second and third one, they wax and wane for me. But forever, I mean, it's a great trilogy. I'm very happy that they've never tried to just keep continuing it with like a legacy sequel. Next up, this is the Bad Boys trilogy. This is before they made a fourth one, even though the third one is called For Life. So then the fourth one, they had to come up with something else. Just stupid. Just call the third one Ride or Die or something, and then call the fourth one For Life. Easy marketing, guys. But the Bad Guys, that's cool, really nice copy of this movie that's it's a pretty good DreamWorks movie. I'm excited for the sequel. I don't know why I have such a nice copy. I probably got this for cheap at Soundgarden or something. But actually, let's see. How much? Yeah. Got this for $10, but nice little copy of it. A really good movie. Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. This is Nick Cage, and he's insane in this movie. There's a scene in this where he tries to cut off an old lady's oxygen just for fun. It's a really weird movie, and he's not even particularly good in the movie, and the movie's definitely not good. But I own it, and I've loaned it out to at least 2 friends, and they both returned it being, this is a weird movie, which it is. And this is Bad Times at the El Royale. I love this movie. This movie is really cool. Chris Hemsworth in a cool villainous role. For some reason, people keep talking about this. I don't know if I had a TikTok revival or something, but I keep seeing this come up in my feed lately. Which honestly, you could do much worse movies. This movie's a lot of fun. Why is this? Oh, that's why. Cynthia Erivo. That's why people are talking about it, because it's wicked. That's wicked. This is a Best Picture nominee 2 years now? 1 year ago? 2 years ago. Called The Banshees of Inisherin. This movie is very dark comedy. One of my favorite actor duos ever, though. Really dark comedy. I don't want to spoil anything, but I do recommend this one. But not very funny. I do say comedy because there's moments, but it's much more dark. This is the opposite of that. This is Barb and Star go to Vista Del Mar. This movie is the brightest, silliest movie you will ever see in your life. Not a moment of just like, oh, like what are we gonna do next? No, this movie is just fun, start to finish. Really, really fun, especially if you're a fan of the marijuana. And this is Batman the movie. This is the Adam West wrote. The Adam West one's the only reason it's not in the other movies. It's can't go wrong with it. Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. I love the Adam West original show. I used to watch that as a kid, so I had to get the movie when I found a copy. Speaking of Batman, this is the polar opposite of Adam West. Is the Batman. Who knows when we'll finally get the sequel? But at least we have this and the Penguin. And this movie's great. I saw this like 4 times in theaters, and highly recommend. This is Beautiful Mind. Beautiful Mind. Yeah, Russell Crowe. Might be the first Russell Crowe movie I ever saw, honestly. This movie's pretty good. The guy kind of going crazy from being too smart for all the people around him. And Beauty and the Beast Diamond Edition, one of my favorite Disney movies of all time. Great soundtrack. And you really can't go wrong. I get people make fun of it because it's Stockholm Syndrome, blah, blah, blah. But I don't care. It's fun. This is a movie called Begin Again. This is an original musical film. It's got Mark Ruffalo and what's her name? Keira Knightley in it. This movie's really good. It's very heartfelt. It's all original music in it, which is really nice. It's the same director as the movie Once, which you'll also see in this collection in a later episode. And it's great. Also, the best part about this movie, it is the only time you'll ever see James Corden not give a performance that wants you to rip your eyes out. He's actually pretty good in this. And original Beetlejuice. I still own Beetlejuice. Did I say it 3 times? Oh no. I mean, everyone in this movie is at the height of their power, especially Michael Keaton. He made these films all with like the same 2 actors over decades, and essentially just people meeting up, and it is some of the best romance that you'll ever experience. The Belko Experiment, I think James Gunn produces. I don't think he directed it, but it's a bunch of people killing each other in an office building. It's kind of fun. First anime movie I think I've seen in my collection so far. This is a movie called Belle. It's a Mamoru Hosoda film. I saw this with my brother actually in theaters, which I was really, really lucky to. It's probably my least favorite of his movies, but I still really like it. It has some really good music to it. And, the Steelbook is just so cool. I mean, his artwork in his movies is unmatched. And then we got The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, and another movie called The Second Best Exotic Marigold Hotel. These movies are kind of fun. It's a bunch of old people meeting at a hotel in India. And they kind of meet and experience life together. I watched this for my only film class I had in high school. And then I bought the second one and watched it on my own free time. But these movies are a lot of fun. Very, very sweet, kind of heartfelt. This is Time and Wiseau. It says movies called Best Friends, Volume 1 and 2. These movies are... If The Room is like fun bad, these movies are just kind of bad, but weird bad in a way that kind of mesmerizing. Way harder to understand than The Room. But it's him and Greg Sestero, and I'm happy that they got to keep working together. Bicycle Thieves, another great film school movie, another great French movie, or Italian. I think this is an Italian film. This movie's it's really, really good, very sad, all about the Depression era and stuff, and literally just what can happen when someone takes your bike. The Big Lebowski. I love this movie. I need to get a better copy of it, but I do just, as long as you have a copy in your collection, that's all that matters. Because as long as you have the dude abides. And then this is The Big Trouble in Little China. It's a nice steelbook copy I have for it. Another incredible movie. Very much of its time. It was like its own little genre, and I really hope The Rock never gets to make his remake of this. This is my nice copy for Bill and Ted 1 and 2. Bill and Ted's Most Excellent Collection, as they call it on the slipcover here. It has a bunch of cool bonus features. I like the artwork on the front, too. It kind of puts all the characters in the first 2 movies all together, which is really nice. Bill and Ted movies are incredible. There's a reason why they finally got to make the 3rd one, Bill and Ted Face the Music. It was a little sad that this was pretty much just an Amazon Prime exclusive. I kind of wish they kind of marketed it a bit better. But at the same time, as long as we have it and as long as they got to work together, I'm very happy for them. And Alex Winter now, he's getting more into directing, which I think is really nice for him. I love this movie. I would say the 2003 remake is also pretty good. But this movie, incredible slasher, really, really kind of just depressing slasher. no fun elements to it. You're just watching people die, and you really kind of don't want them to. And Black Klansman. I'm a huge Spike Lee fan. I took an entire class about him in college. But I've liked this movie well before I ever took that class. I saw this in theaters with my dad and my friend Tino, and we were all kind of blown away at how good this was. Because looking at it, it kind of looked like it was going to be fun bad, and turns out it's actually one of his best movies that he's ever made. And yeah, I cannot wait to see what Spike Lee does next. We're on the kind of the end tail of this first video here. We've got The Black Phone. This has a sequel coming out this year. I have no idea what they're going to do for a sequel for this movie, but this movie is incredible. Ethan Hawke is great in this movie. The script is really tight. The director clearly knows what he's doing, and yeah, you really can't go wrong. I will say a little warning there in case if you're sad about anything, including like violence to children, might not be the movie for you. Black Swan, also just really depressing movie. I just got two really depressing ones in a row, but. You know, one of the few like horror films that would be nominated for some Oscars, so you gotta give props for that. You know, it's got Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. Told you you're gonna see more Denis Villeneuve. I loved the Blade Runner franchise. I remember watching the first one with my girlfriend a few months into us started dating, and this was probably my fourth or fifth time seeing it. I'm always mesmerized, and she fell asleep about 20 minutes in. But you know, can't blame people. Not everyone's cup of tea, but for me, it definitely is. And Blade Runner 2049, I think is even better. And I'm very happy that Denis Villeneuve keeps getting to make movies, even though he makes such expensive movies that pretty much never make a single dollar. Continuing on here, this is a steelbook that Walmart made last year. It's the Blair Witch Project, and what's it just called? Blair Witch, which I think is like a movie came in like 2015. I'll be honest, I've seen the original one on both VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray. I've never seen Blair Witch, so maybe I'll get around to watching that this upcoming Halloween. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a cool steelbook, and for a nice cheap price, can't go wrong with that. Blind Spotting. It's got a bunch of marks all over it. I bought this secondhand from like a library that was having like a DVD and Blu-ray sale. This movie's really good. Great movie about police violence and kind of the oppressive system that we all kind of live in. This movie is called Blockers. Fun, John Cena comedy. Don't have much else to say. It was a lot better than I thought it would be, I will say. And I feel like this kind of put John Cena into more a comedy route in his career instead of just big burly action man. And this is a movie called Bloodline. No one else has ever seen this movie. This is Sean William Scott playing a serial killer. He is a school therapist who his students tell him, you know, the horrible things maybe their dad does to them after school. And then he goes and he does bad things to their dad. It's a very fun movie, and I'm glad that Sean William Scott has kind of kept his career going way past American Pie. Blue is the warmest color. This is the second Criterion I think I ever bought. It's a good movie, though. I do think it has a really nice script to it. And also, it's Léa Seydoux. Well before she ever kind of made her debut and, you know, stuff like James Bond and stuff. She got her start in this, which is really nice. First off, our first David Lynch of the day. It's Blue Velvet. R.I.P. David Lynch. One of my favorites of his, honestly. It's like a weird, creepy slasher with a lot of cool twists in it, and I really like it. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies! Andrew actually gave me this copy. Cool A24 movie, good subversion on the, I don't even know what to say, like a party film almost, but turned into a slasher, which I think is a really fun idea, and the cast is great in this.
Such a good twist at the end.
Yeah, and the way this movie ends, when you find out who the killer is, you're not ready.
It's so good.
This is the Book of Eli. I have never seen this movie all the way through, but at least I own a copy of it for the day I actually do. But I do know pretty much every scene in this movie just from watching a bunch of YouTube videos on it. I don't know why I was obsessed with this movie for a long time. But Denzel Washington and Gary Oldman are both very good in this. Really cool movie, and I like any movie where the main character is just a badass blind guy. And this is the Book of Life. Got a nice cheap copy of that. It's a fun little animated musical that Guillermo del Toro produced. And yeah, I'm glad that we have stuff like this. The Box Trolls. I'm still kind of mad about this because I bought all these Leica movies. They made all these nice editions of them all at the same time. I bought all of them because I'm a huge Leica fan, like Coraline and Paranorman. And about 3 months later, they re-released all of them with 4K Steelbook versions, which is ridiculous. But either way, as long as I own them, and I think they all have the same bonus features, which is really what matters to me when I buy a nice Blu-ray. But yeah, Box Trolls are one of my least favorite Leica movies, but my least favorite, I still mean, is like a 4 out of 5. Oh, Brian and Charles, if you get nothing else out of this video, find Brian and Charles. Watch Brian and Charles. This movie is perfection. It is just a man, and he builds a silly robot, and they have little adventures together, and it's the sweetest, funniest, and kind of saddest thing you've ever seen.
Out of all the movies nobody's watched that you talked about, I think that's the only one that actually nobody watched.
Right? Like, literally, I think me, you, and Vin are the only people in existence who've ever seen this movie.
Probably.
So, if you're watching this, put it in the comments if you've seen Brian and Charles. This is Bram Stoker's Dracula. One of my favorite Francis Ford Coppola movies, one of my favorite vampire movies. I love how there's literally a single shot in this movie that's CG. Everything else in this is somehow practical effects. And the costume design, the sets, every aspect of this is so good, including the fact that Keanu Reeves has the worst accent I've ever heard in my life. This is The Breakfast Club. Also, it's a nice, cool steelbook. I've had chances to get the Criterion before, but honestly, I just think the steelbook is really nice. It's like a locker, and this is one of the only John Hughes movies I actually really like. I'm not a huge John Hughes fan, but I think The Breakfast Club is great, and I always love that final shot. Bridesmaids, an incredible comedy movie. I feel like people don't talk about this as much anymore, but back in the day, this was kind of like the go-to when you thought like female-led comedy film, and it really holds up. And I would love a sequel to Bridesmaids. Do another Bridesmaids movie. Why not? That could be kind of fun. This is Bridge on the River Kwai. This is a cool. They did a bunch of these really just kind of like artsy looking steelbooks for these. I believe on the back just kind of has the detonator for it. Just one of those classic films, kind of talk about in film school and stuff, but I don't know, I really like the steelbook. You'll see a few more steelbooks that are kind of in the same art series that they released. This is a movie called Broadcast News. I love this movie. I watched it for the first time last year. This is a nice Criterion edition of it. It's pretty much just a news reporter, a news anchor, and a news producer, and they kind of make a very messy love triangle, and it's very funny and very like sharply like written. Also, the main actress in it is a lady who plays Elastigirl in The Incredibles. Bubba Hotep. I saw this movie with the director in the audience. He did a little Q&A. Don Coscarelli. Shout out to Don. This movie's great. It's got JFK conspiracies. It's got mummies. It's got Elvis. It's got everything. This movie's great. Highly recommend if you haven't seen this one. Bullet Train. Really fun Brad Pitt movie. They made I think this came out 2 years ago now. Really fun Brad Pitt movie. For some reason, it got a lot of hate, which I really don't understand. I think the cast is fun. I think the directing is really tight. I feel like the action was really shot really well. Also, it took some risks. Like, I killed characters in it that I was not expecting to die. So, highly recommend Bullet Train. Bumblebee! It's the good live-action one. It's the only good live-action Transformers movie, except maybe the first one. But this movie's fun. Also, it goes back to John Cena just being the big, burly, tough guy in the movie. But, I would have loved it if we got more like a direct sequel to Bumblebee instead of Rise of the Beast. This movie called Buried. It is literally just Ryan Reynolds, and he's trapped in a box. And it's a really good performance. I don't know if the movie needs to be as long as it is necessarily for a guy trapped in a box. But really good movie, great twist ending as well. Burn After Reading, one of my favorite Coen Brothers films. This movie's really funny, really tightly written as all the Coen Brothers movies are, like Fargo and The Big Lebowski. And it has twists and turns left and right, a huge cast. This is a movie called Bushwick. I bought this a few months ago. I still have not watched it. I think it was on sale at Walmart. But I've heard good things. And it's got Dave Bautista. It's like a small Dave Bautista movie after he did stuff like Guardians of the Galaxy, which I appreciate when actors can do bigger things and they choose to do smaller projects. This is The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, a classic 1920s film. Some really, really cool cinematography, great set design, really good acting, honestly, even especially for the time. Highly recommend it, especially if you're a fan of just classic cinema. Cabin in the Woods. This movie is, it plays on so many different genres of horror and comedy, and it has a huge cast, including Chris Hemsworth, like one of his first, kind of bigger roles and everything. And don't get me wrong, I do not like Joss Whedon. I'm not a big Joss Whedon fan, but the man's made some good stuff, including this. And this is Call Me By Your Name. This movie made me cry quite a bit when I first saw this in theaters. I really like it. Love Timothée Chalamet in it. And I even love Armie Hammer in it, despite the fact that I'm sure the whole time he just wanted to eat Timothée Chalamet. Next up, we got this cool steelbook for Carrie. I think Walmart did like a Dia de los Muertos line. It did stuff like this and Jeepers Creepers. So that's why it has this cool artwork to it. But yeah, this is the original Carrie movie. It's a great movie. I mean, you can't really go wrong with it. Got some really good performances. I also love the musical. If you haven't seen the musical version of Carrie, I highly recommend tracking that down. This is Casper. I got this for Christmas literally this past year. I used to watch the VHS copy of this so many times that I eventually burned out the VHS, like the actual tape. This movie's great. I love Christina Ricci in it especially. And honestly, even the CG in this really holds up for the time. Castaway. It's a long Tom Hanks movie, but we all know Castaway. We all know Wilson. And yeah, I mean, it's a classic for a reason by this point. Catch Me If You Can. Speaking of Tom Hanks movies, this is more of my speed. I love Catch Me If You Can. I was so happy when they finally released a really nice copy of it. It's got some really cool artwork on it. Leonardo DiCaprio is so good in this. I think it's based like semi like a true story as well, which makes it even crazier to me. But yeah, highly recommend. This is the Cats and Dogs bonus feature. It's also got Cats and Dogs: The Revenge of Kitty Galore. I got this at a Dollar General. Yeah, I mean these movies are fun. If you watch these with cats and dogs in the room, they will go crazy. I'm warning you now. This is a movie called Cheap Thrills. I think I also got this at like a Dollar General or something. But yeah, this is like a weird, very small budget, just like indie movie about a bunch of people, and they're kind of put into like almost Saw-like scenarios, but much lower budget than a Saw movie. This is my Chucky collection. I love Chucky. I love the series. I love all the movies except for the remake that I don't own. And yeah, I mean, this is just a really cool collection. I got this off a guy on Facebook Marketplace, I think, for like $20. But great movie. Jennifer Tilly's really good in these too. Yeah, highly recommend. There's also like one of the only film like horror franchises that's one continuity all the way through. They never really changed it up except for this stupid remake. Chicago, great musical. A lot of great sound, like big set pieces and stuff. Great music sequences, and yeah, I mean it's got some of my favorite musical songs ever made. Chronicle, underrated movie. A found footage movie about 3 kids who pretty much develop powers, like superpowers, and kind of the struggles that might come along with that. Really cool, kind of very dark ending. This is the remake for Cinderella. It's the only good Cinderella movie. It's not even true. This is the remake for Cinderella. It's the only Disney live action remake that they've done that I actually think surpasses the original animated version. I really like this version quite a bit, and a lot of people haven't seen this one. But if you haven't, I do recommend this one. Citizen Kane. I just have a classic Blu-ray for it. You know, it's the greatest movie of all time. I don't think it's the greatest movie of all time. Sorry. But it did revolutionize cinema, and it gave us so many new camera movements and technical ways to make film that it's obviously gone down in history for a reason, and I had to have a copy. Clash of the Titans. Another one of those movies that from my childhood that I watched so many times. I used to think the Kraken monster at the end, like no monster would ever be cooler than that monster. This movie's great. Love Sam Worthington in it. I love that he's pretty much only done this and then Avatar, and he doesn't need to do anything else because his bank from Avatar is monumental. Alright, we're on to the last 3 of the day. This is I love this steelbook for Clerks 3. Me and Andrew actually watched this together, and by the end, I was in tears. This movie, one of Kevin Smith's best movies he's ever made. It's probably my favorite of the Clerks trilogy, honestly. And also probably the most underseen one that he's made. But highly recommend Clerks 3 if you guys ended up skipping it. The movie's really good, and it's really, really heartfelt. When Kevin Smith wants to pull out the tearjerker moments, he does in style. We got a Steven Spielberg classic, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. This is a nice 4K copy of it. I think it has a Barnes & Noble for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, this is a really nice 4K copy of it. I mean, this movie's great. It has some really cool CG in it. Has some really cool, obviously, like set building stuff. I mean, that was back in the era when they would make stuff like Jaws and Jurassic Park and stuff, and it blends so well. Last, we got Cloud Atlas. I've never seen this movie. I own it. I know it's like 4 hours long or something. It's an insane movie. It has a million different plot lines that apparently go nowhere. I'm gonna watch it, I promise. But for now, it's just one of those really long movies that I own that I have not had time to get around to yet. But I own a copy, and you know, that's what really matters at the end of the day. But yeah, so that's the end of this first video. We're going to keep doing these. I want to get through all the rest of my movies, and I have quite a few left to get through. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, film collecting for me, I love collecting just for the fact of You know, it's like archiving. You know, you're archiving different films, a lot of which aren't even available anywhere else, or if they are, then they're not available in the best quality. And it's like that's why like stuff like Blu-ray is really nice. I feel like it's a perfect quality for almost any movie that you want to go out and find. And also, don't feel bad if your collection is 10 movies or 1,000 movies. It doesn't matter. If you're a collector, at the end of the day, that's what matters. And whatever format, whatever you want to do with it, that's what's really important. Alright, well, anyway, stay tuned for the next video. We'll hopefully be dropping it soon. Have a good one, guys.